Bonjour mes amis. We're going to learn about some vocabulary today having to do with le temps libre. Le temps libre means free time, and we have a lot of vocabulary to cover. So you pause as often as you need to get this down. Our main topic today is about le sport. So many of these words are going to be cognates. Le sport is simply sports or sports-related vocabulary. Le sport, sports. What we have here first is a game with two tennis players who are female. We call these players les joueuses. You might recognize part of the verb to play, jouer, in this verb. So a female player of any sport or any instrument is une joueuse, les joueuses. Notice how they are playing tennis. They are playing a tennis game. Here's what we call a tennis game, un match de tennis. Yes, there's another cognate for us, and I'll explain to you at another time why tennis is actually not an English word, but it does come from French. So we're going to see this verb a lot, jouer à or jouer de. With le sport, we're going to see jouer à, because jouer de we'll be using with our instruments and musical things. We're also going to need to remember contractions that we learned with a plus the words le, la, les, or L apostrophe. So we're going to see some examples of this, and if you need a review, you'll have to go back and look at another video on that. So, les joueuses jouent au tennis. We're using jouer à here, but we're putting à and le together. So this is how we say someone is playing a certain sport. Les joueuses jouent au tennis. Here, this game right here should look familiar to you, except for a little injury that we have. This game here, the French called le basket, or they'll call it le basketball. They love their abbreviations. You're mostly going to hear somebody using le basket. If you see the full word written down in French, you'll be using it with that hyphen, le basketball. So here we have the injured person being helped off the court by his friend. Aider is to help. So we have il aide le joueur. Le joueur is the masculine form of la joueuse. Next, we look at these players right here. Le foot is their sport, which we've also called le football. Here they don't use that hyphen. So, les joueurs, we could say, like with the singular one, ils jouent au foot. Or il with the S, ils jouent au foot. So there's that jouer à thing coming into play again. If you recognize this, we have football as well, our American counterpart of that, but they necessarily call it le football américain. You do have to include that américain with the word if you want a French person to understand that you're talking about the game played with this ball for le football américain. Next, this sport should look familiar to you. I know that we have a team at our school. This game is le volley, or like most other sports, if we use the long form, they can call it le volleyball. Et le petit garçon, let's see what he's into. Le golf. Do you see how many of these are cognates? Some of them are taken right from their original form. Le golf. And here we have one that the French simply call, they just use the English word and they pronounce it le baseball. Some words you might want to just say le baseball. Really, you'll hear a French person say le baseball. Et voilà, Wrigley Field à Chicago. Qu'est-ce que c'est Wrigley Field? Wrigley Field est un stade. On joue au baseball à Wrigley Field. On joue au baseball dans un stade. Did you figure out what un stade is? Et voilà, skier. Skier est un sport. This is also a sport, but you don't play skiing. So we're never going to use the verb jouer with skiing. You'll just use it as a verb, an ER verb on its own. Skier. Just on its own. Un jeu is a game. Now we saw un match de tennis. Un jeu is a game in the sense that it is a game that lasts, that is in a very general sense. You know, basketball is a game, not a match, but basketball is like a sport. The type of game we mean when we are talking about un jeu, for instance, is les cartes. Look what's going on in this illustration. He's obviously winning and she's not very happy about what's going on. This game is les cartes. Les cartes. And in a sentence, il joue aux cartes. Notice what happens with the jouer à bit. Aux cartes. It's plural. Il gagne. Gagner is a regular ER verb, and it's in the form to go with il. And it's saying, judging by his expression, you can tell he's winning. She, on the other hand, elle perd. We are going to learn new infinitives for verbs like perd. They're going to be in a new class of verbs. So for now, you can just write this word as it is. Perd, P-E-R-D. It can go with the word elle, like it is here, or it can go with the word il, both in the singular. Let's continue. Here we have some guys playing, it looks like chess, right? And someone's helping the other by pointing out something. So let's see what they're doing. Les échecs, that is chess. Do you remember how you would say they are playing chess? Ils jouent aux échecs. Indiquer is what the person who is pointing to something. So he's pointing something out, he's indicating it. So il indique is how we're going to say he is pointing. And that's usually very common with games and with things very useful for us to use. Now those were mostly sports. If we talk about un loisir, that's a leisure activity. So let's look at some of the ones that we have for us. Chanter is something that your French teacher might do a lot in class, means to sing, right? Now he's doing it, so il chante. It's a regular ER verb. Another loisir is aller à la pêche. Aller à la pêche means to go fishing. Another loisir we might enjoy is to simply go to the movies. Nous allons au cinéma. Le cinéma is where we would see un film. And there's also another word that we use, un spectacle. Un spectacle means more a show than a movie. So it could also be a show in a very general sense, in the theater, at a movie theater, live theater, that sort of thing. Un passe-temps is a pastime. It's another cognate. And this guy here likes to do a little bit of everything. He's kind of a handyman. He likes to tinker. So bricoler is kind of to tinker about. Just kind of, you know, do little odd jobs, odds and ends. Le temps libre is the name of this set of vocabulary, and it does mean free time. So when we have free time, we will do these different leisure activities, and at different intervals or for different amounts of time. So here you have how many times? Une fois. Une fois means one time, as in one occurrence. So it's feminine, but we can also use, we talk about this things being done more than one time. So how many times did you go to France? Une fois, deux fois, or however many times you've done something. And then we're going to talk about how often you do something. Par is maybe our expression for per, P-E-R, and we'd use it for, we'd use it with an amount of time. So for instance, I would say par jour. How many times par jour? Yeah, combien de fois par jour mangez-vous? Come in and answer that question. We can also say par semaine, which is per week. par mois. Mois is a month. That's masculine. Unlike une semaine, which is feminine, and mois is masculine. So each month, per month. Par an. And an, il y a 12 mois dans un an. Were you able to figure out what an an is? And then there are some other indications of time. Déjà means already. Maybe you saw it used with déjà vu in English. Encore means yet, or you could say it again. Une fois encore, one time again. Jamais is never. Longtemps means for a long time. That word for is already included in that word. So if we're trying to think of our expressions in French, we don't have to think of a word for. Maintenant is now. And parfois means sometimes. Rarement means rarely. And souvent means often. Désirer means to desire or to want to. And we can use désirer with an infinitive if you're talking about wanting to do something. Pratiquer means to practice something. Like you're skiing, skating, whatever sport it is that you do, it's pratiquer. And then finally, right here we have une équipe. Une équipe is a team. It's a team of players. The word is always feminine, whether or not your players are masculine or feminine. And that's our vocabulary right now for le temps libre. Merci tout le monde.